Everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's 9:29, so we're just going to give it another minute or two to allow a few more people time to log on and what have you. Before we start, I'd just like to say that this morning's session is an interactive session. We're going to be going through Viva, so I'll be showing you all the things that we're talking about today. It is interactive, so please do ask questions. And then what I'm going to do, I've got my colleague Jordan here with me this morning. What I'm going to do is ask questions, and then before we move on to the next section, I'll ask Jordan those questions. He will read them out and we will answer them for you as best we can. If you've got any questions that are specific to your particular organisation, then Jordan and I will answer those outside of this session. So we're just going to give it one more minute to allow last few people to log on, and then we'll make a start. Right. So thank you again for joining us this morning, everybody. This morning we're going to be talking about Microsoft Viva, more specifically Viva Connections. And that is a tool that allows you to integrate your company intranet or SharePoint within Microsoft Teams. I'm going to start off with a PowerPoint presentation, go through a few slides, introduce you to iTex for the people that don't currently work with us, tell you a little bit about iTex, a little bit about employee culture, how things have changed and those sorts of things. And then we're going to cut into Teams and Viva Connections. So we'll show you Connections actually working. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen. As I said, I will start off with a PowerPoint presentation. So start. Right, so an introduction to Viva Connections. So again, this morning we'll be talking about employee culture and the challenges to your organisation. We'll introduce Microsoft Viva Connections. We'll also talk about Viva on your mobile and how it includes your entire organisation. We'll also talk about license types, the things you need in place to allow these technologies to work. And how to get started. So the first thing is iTex. So we are a family-owned business. We've been established since 1997. And because we've been around for so long, we started with a traditional kind of background, servers, networking, computers and infrastructure. Today, we're very much a modern workplace, a cloud-based practice, but because of our background, it allows us that kind of hybrid approach. Lots of our customers have still got the traditional servers infrastructure, but also working with the cloud, and it's a hybrid of the two things that allows them an efficient working platform for their organization. So as I said, very much today we're a modern workplace practice. We deal with small, medium and large enterprises. Our kind of smallest customer, we measure our customers not in turnover, by the way, but the number of users using computers. Our smallest customer is around 5 or 6 kind of users, and our largest about 3,000 kind of users, and we deal with everything in between. We deal with schools, colleges and academies as well. We're very proud to say that we're a Microsoft Gold partner. We're a top performing tier 1 partner. Now tier 1 is more of an internal thing. It's a Microsoft metric to rate iTex. But because we're tier 1, what that allows us to do, that allows us a closer working relationship with Microsoft, which is fantastic because when we deliver solutions to our customers, it helps us to do that with the future in mind and Microsoft's roadmap in mind to deliver that for your company moving forward. It also allows us to deliver solutions more efficiently, and we've also got access to Microsoft engineers. So if there's anything comes down the line that we're not familiar with, we haven't seen before, then what that partnership allows us to do is work with Microsoft engineers to deliver a better solution to you. We really, really pride ourselves as well on the feedback that we get from our customers. If you Google iTex, we're rated 5 stars on Google. So thank you to all our customers that give us feedback. If you enjoy this morning, hopefully you will, please do give some feedback on Google. And the majority of business that we win is via word of mouth, positive feedback. It's a place that people often look when they're looking into iTex, is the reviews that we get. So please, if you enjoy this morning, please give us some feedback on Google. If you notice at the top right hand side of the screen as well, we have hashtag #ITexViva and at #ITexUK. Please tweet us if you're on this morning. Bottom right, we have our LinkedIn page. So employee culture. So I'm only going to mention this word once, hopefully once, and then that's it. But the COVID pandemic, it has forced the biggest culture change in business since World War II. And what the pandemic has allowed us to do is it's been the world's biggest, if you like, work from home experiment. And it's provided a once in a lifetime opportunity to reimagine the workplace with regards to how we work and how we run our businesses and organizations. And people have found, having been in lockdown and working from home, they found that they no longer need to be in the office to work effectively. And because of that, they're making new lifestyle choices with regards to where they live, things like that. For example, you no longer need to live close to work. And that's allowing people to make better decisions as well with regards to work-life balance. And essentially what we're saying is that the changes that have happened are changes that are here to stay. Things won't go back to how they were previously. And this figure is from Microsoft, but Microsoft estimate that 75% of office-based workers will not go back to work full time. Instead, they will adopt a hybrid working approach. And this is fantastic. It allows fluidity in where people work. It allows that freedom, but it does present your organization with challenges. So how do we manage a remote and a disconnected workforce? So when we were in lockdown, we found that actually we were very, very efficient. Things were very, very good. But employee well-being, when you're not seeing people in the office every day, seeing their faces, engaging how they are, how they feel, it's much, much more difficult when they're working from home and you're not seeing them. Also, how do you manage productivity? And how do you manage engagement with those people, with managers, with your line managers, and with one another as well? And how do you engage in your business? How do you know what's happening in your organization when you're not there, when you're working from home? And also personal development, learning new skills, developing people, taking on new employees and inducting them. How is that all managed? And these challenges, by the way, they exist for all organizations, whether you're a 1 or 2 man micro business, something like that, through to large organizations, charities, schools, colleges, enterprises, those sorts of things. And flexibility is when, where, and how we work. And this is the key to our ongoing success. So introducing Microsoft Viva. The Viva launch from Microsoft couldn't be more timely with regards to the world around us as it stands right now. Viva Connections we're showing today is one of 4 modules. So to the left, we have Microsoft Viva Insights, and that's balanced product. That's where you balance your productivity and employee well-being. Insights gives you insights, as the name suggests, into your organization and into the way that people are feeling, their engagement, their meetings, what they're working on, and those sorts of things. Viva Topics gives you knowledge. So if you have products in your business, if you have technical documents, worksheets, if there's job numbers, project numbers, patent numbers, names that people might not be familiar with, what Topics does, it allows you to surface this information in a fast and efficient manner through Microsoft Teams and through Topics SharePoint sites. Microsoft Viva Learning is a learning platform that plugs into online learning platforms like LinkedIn Learning, for example. It also allows you to publish your own learning content on there. So again, using the employee induction, if you have induction videos to your business or organizations, some organizations are now recording induction videos because of these platforms. If you have training courses, health and safety and those sorts of things, then what you can do is publish that on Viva Learning. And what Viva Learning does, it allows you to see the progress of your employees with regards to the courses that they're doing, how far across they are in those particular courses. So the 50% on this one, 60% on this one. You can assign deadlines as well. So this needs to be done before the end of July. And if it's not, notify line manager so you can give them the guidance, further guidance and encouragement they need to get over the line with coursework or what have you. But today we're talking about Viva Connections. And this Viva Connections allows you to stay engaged and informed with the things that are happening in your business. And work now is no longer a place we visit necessarily to get stuff done. It's about making things happen wherever you are. So whether that's at home, whether it's commuting, Starbucks, Costa Coffee, something like that, or of course in the office. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come out of this SharePoint, this PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to open Microsoft Teams. Now, I've not got Teams open right now. I want to start right from the beginning. So I'm going to click on Teams here, down at the bottom. Now we've got an account here. This is me, I'm Dean. We've got an account, Luke Skywalker, which is a fictitious account, of course. Luke doesn't really work here, but we've got an account called Luke Skywalker. And this allows us to demonstrate SharePoint, Teams, connections, and all these things without giving private customer information, because we actually use, as iTechs, we use Teams, we use SharePoint, we use all these tools and technologies every single day. So this is a test environment, Luke Skywalker. So I'm opening Teams as you would do in the morning, or whenever you arrive at work, you would probably open Microsoft Teams. It's a focal point of many organizations now. So again, at the top right, you can see we're logged on as Luke. Right. It always takes a little bit longer, by the way, because it's a live session I'm showing you. It doesn't do that in real life. But what's happened right now, when you open Teams in your organizations, it probably takes you to activity. But because we've got Viva Connections enabled on our Microsoft 365 tenant, this is what actually comes up for us here at iTechs. Now, on the middle here, in the middle, it's saying your intranet is now in Teams. So I'm going to click next, and it's telling me what the changes are. So once you enable Viva Connections in your organization, your employees will see this once it becomes enabled, to give them a prompt to tell them what's changed. So it's telling you you can easily access relevant information, etc. Well, I'm going to be going through all this anyway. So I've got it. So at the top left here, we have iTechs intranet. So the moment we open Teams at iTechs, this is the screen that we are presented with. Now, this essentially is the iTex SharePoint site. We've changed it a little bit. We've enhanced it to make it more friendly within Teams, if you like, or more fitting with this particular environment. But here, what this does is we've called it iTex Hub. We've called this intranet, and we've positioned it at top left. You can position this anywhere down here that you want. You can call it anything you want. So we've called it intranet. On the page itself, it's called iTex Hub. Now it's the hub because it's the central location. It's the repository of all things within iTex. So it's the starting point to the information that you need to find. So here, for example, we've got about iTex. Now you might sort of think, well, employees within iTex know about iTex because they work here. Well, yeah, but what about new starters? As the company, your companies might be quite large, you might only have exposure to a certain smaller area within your organization. About us gives us an overall picture. Now, this is an internal about us. It tells our staff about iTex. It might be a little bit different from the marketing information that you put on your website, for example. It might go more into detail about the specific different departments and those sorts of things. At the top right here, we have weather. Now, this is called a widget. Now, the widgets, Microsoft have not released a full set of widgets yet, but these widgets can be particular or unique to you as an individual, and we can plug in widgets that are specific to your department and things like that, and surface information that's meaningful for the people looking in on this right from the word go. This is the weather right now in Castleford, where we are, and here we've got upcoming events. So this is today's event that we're on right now, Microsoft Viva Connections, Business Voice, which allows you to use Teams as your company phone system, and how to make and receive calls from the Microsoft Teams. And then we've got another Viva Connections. Now, these upcoming events here, this is really useful for our staff, because when people phone our help desk, when they speak to our sales team, customers might mention this. And what we're doing is allowing our employees to see the same information that we publish externally. So everybody's fully aware of what's going on. Here we have latest company news. So with lockdowns and things like that, we've found that people are starting work earlier, they're finishing later. So we've extended our help desk hours here at iTex. Now, of course, if you're working in an office and you're all together, it might be an announcement that you make. But if you imagine people working from home, don't always know the changes that you're making in your business. So here, for example, we've got a Teams rooms set up. So I'm actually speaking to you on Teams rooms now. I know you can't see it, but I'm actually looking at a big screen, and I can see various things on that screen. And we've got a meeting room table, we've got microphones and all sorts of video cameras and all sorts of things. And iTex was investing in all this kind of technology during the lockdown, and our staff were pretty much unaware, apart from the ones that were involved in mounting the screens and video cameras and things. But all the staff that were working from home was simply unaware that we've done these things. We've renovated the offices, put up glass screens and those sorts of things. So what we do, we publish this as news on the SharePoint site, and that is surfaced in Microsoft Teams. So the moment they open Teams, they can see the things that are happening in iTex. We've got Teams rooms. We've actually built a new website for iTex. We're having our CRM system redeveloped. So that's an instant snapshot of the things that are happening within iTex. Also, we have useful links. So we use a tool called Microsoft Mechanics. It tells us about the new technologies, and it's Microsoft engineers explaining new things, a little bit like what I am doing with you today, but it's more from a technical perspective. And then what we do is we decipher that, make it user friendly, and then deliver essentially that same content back to you. We've also got an admin website that we use quite frequently. So you can have any websites that you want on your SharePoint site. It might be supplier price lists, British standards, those sorts of things. So you can have any links that you want on here. Moving down the page a little bit, this links to our social media activities. So we sponsor a local rugby team, Castleford Tigers, and we were there because they went to Wembley, and we were celebrating that. So that's what that is there. Moving down, we did a promotion for Euro 2020, and we did a kick-up challenge. Now this social media here, again, our customers, suppliers, consultants, whoever we're working with, might mention this, and it's useful for our staff to see this information, to see the things that we're talking about. So, for example, when we had the Teams rooms put in, we did a video, and I'll show you all these sorts of things in a short while, and we published that on social media. We were inviting people to come and look at it, and it's just useful again for our staff to see what things we're talking about externally. Here we've got my recent documents, so it shows you the things Luke's been working on here. And to the right, we have a group calendar, so I can see when people are on holiday. We do allow holidays here at iTex. Yep, so we've got Chris on holiday on the 26th, Adele, Liam on holiday, then we've got another event here, Business Voice Explained. So this really is an instant snapshot of your organization at a top level organizational chart. And then we've got links to other SharePoint sites as well. If I move to the top, this is what Microsoft call a hub site. So again, it's the SharePoint site that is at the top level, and you access this you can access all other SharePoint sites from this SharePoint site. So if I click on who we are at the top, we have iTex company statements. Here we have the iTex mission statement to help businesses realize their full potential through the use of technology. Now, you might think your staff know all this sort of stuff about your organization. They don't always, so it's really good to surface that information on here. We have things like policies and procedures. I'm not going to go into that. We've got ISO quality standards and those sorts of things. So this really is a repository for all this information in your organization. All comes together, all in one place, and is all accessible within Microsoft Teams. So Jordan, before I move on to news and other things within Viva Connections and SharePoint, do we have any questions so far, please?
Yeah, one from Beth, really just asking, what is the price for Connections, and when will it be available on a phone?
Okay, so Viva Connections is free, so long as you have a Teams license. If you have a Teams license, then that means you've also got a SharePoint license, and if you've got Teams and SharePoint, then you've also got Viva Connections. So Viva Connections is free, so long as you've got a Microsoft 365 subscription. That includes Microsoft Teams, and that's pretty much all subscriptions, with exception to email only subscriptions. So Viva Connections is free. Right now, it's not available on your mobile phone, but SharePoint is. So I am able to demonstrate and show you what it will look like, but Viva Connections is not currently available on the mobile client. Not right now, anyway. That is due, Viva Connections, in Q3 of this year. So September time, October time, we're hoping that Viva Connections will be available on your mobile. Yeah, is that it, Jordan? Is there any more questions?
Perfect. No, that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay. So one thing that we get asked when we show Viva Connections is, one comment that customers make is, this is all fantastic, but it will take time to put news on, to have calendars, to have all these sorts of things. Well, actually, it doesn't take that much time, because all this information that you're looking at right now, it already exists within iText. All we do is take time to publish the calendar here, to publish the useful links here, my recent documents. We just need to plug that in. Your social media, all we need to do is plug that in. So a lot of the content that you're looking at right now, it doesn't take any additional work. All we need to do is build this SharePoint site and build the structure of this page. And then that gathers all this information from within Microsoft 365 and surfaces that into here. Now, going back down here to Teams Rooms Setup, I'm going to use this as an example. So by surfacing, or by using SharePoint in Teams, allows you to share the same information in both platforms. But what that means is that allows you to search on that same information as well. And I'm just using Teams Rooms because you can see that here. But what I'm going to do is search on Teams Rooms here. So if I type Teams Rooms, now what you will see here, if the top one searches within Microsoft Teams. So whenever Luke, we're logged in as Luke right now, whenever Luke has talked about Teams Rooms in Teams, so in Microsoft Teams, it might have had a one-to-one chat with particular people in his organization. It might exist in files and folders within Teams. So Teams Rooms here searches the entirety of Microsoft Teams. The same phrase here, Teams Rooms, searches the SharePoint site that you're looking at right now. So if I click on Teams Rooms at the top, then you can see Luke has spoke to Jordan. Hi, Jordan, can you please quote a school for Microsoft Teams Rooms? And Jordan's given thumbs up there. Luke has also spoken to Dean. Can you please demonstrate Teams Rooms to ABC Company? So you're probably familiar with the search within Teams right now. But if I type that again, Teams Rooms, again, from within Teams, the search extends out into the SharePoint site. So if I click on this, this will open SharePoint and it will apply that search to the SharePoint site. So here, this is the news article. Now, if you imagine, if I go back on here, this news article might have dropped off the bottom. I'm only showing 4 news articles there, but if that dropped off the bottom, you might, obviously I can see it right from the home page. If I do a search, it's going to search all my news and that will come up in this search here. So I've got the news article itself. We've got Teams Rooms setup documents. So for our engineers, we might get a Teams Rooms job for one of our clients, and it might be one of our teams of engineers might not have done the Teams Room, so they can familiarize themselves with the setup, so they can look at the setup document. We've got an introductory video there, so we're actually introducing, we did a video of Teams Rooms and looked around the meeting room and explained it all and things like that. We've got the products that we use that make up Teams Rooms, spec sheets, training as well for Teams Rooms, the videos that we do, and the webinar that we do for Teams Rooms as well, more products, price lists and things like that. So all of a sudden, all this information is all coming together all in one place. Now you might sort of, again, you might sort of think, well, it takes time to sort of do all this stuff. It takes time to populate and gather all this information. Well, again, it doesn't, because what SharePoint has done is it's searched the entirety of SharePoint and pulled all this information and showed you it all in the same place. So if you had information on a particular product that you offer or a service that you offer. It might be a product name. And if you imagine that data, the PDFs, the images, the Word, Excel documents, those sorts of things might exist on a file server, and you put them within Microsoft Teams. The moment that you do that, Teams indexes all this data. It reads the words. So if it's a PDF document or something like that, it looks at the words, looks at the title, and then you go to Teams here, type in that product name, that service, whatever, and all of a sudden it surfaces all this information instantly. A little bit like, Microsoft don't like us saying this, but a little bit like a Google search. It pulls all this information and instantly displays that to you, either within Teams, within the chat, or within your SharePoint site here. So it's a really, really powerful tool that's already available to you, that you have access to, that we just need to tweak and allow your users access to all this information. So, do we have any questions, Jordan, please?
No, not at the moment. It seems to be going well. Obviously, a nice, clear webinar.
Nice, clear, and concise. Yeah. So, because this is Microsoft, again, we have these upcoming events here. We have the calendar here. Now, this is plugging in to Microsoft technology, of course, and all this information here is actually gathered from Outlook. It's actually called Exchange, which is your email provider, but you'll know it as Outlook. So if you have a calendar in Outlook, it's pulling that information and surfacing that from here. Your My Recent Documents is pulling from a product called Delve. So this is really, I'm looking at all the Microsoft 365 product stack and gathering it all and collating all this information here. So on the left, if I was to click on this icon, what you will notice, it drops out a sub menu. And what this allows you to do, it shows you recent news, it shows you My Sites. So in your organization, if you are already using SharePoint, we get many people on these webinars that are not using SharePoint yet and are kind of trying to understand it, see how it fits, and so we show you that and we can help you build SharePoint. But for the people that are already using SharePoint, if you favorite a SharePoint site, so that's one that you use. So you might use a sales SharePoint site, it might be HR, it might be training, whatever SharePoint sites are meaningful to you as an individual. If you like and follow those SharePoint sites, then those will be visible here. The menu here is visible here, so we can click out. So we can be within Teams, for example. We don't need to go here into the intranet. We can navigate straight into people, group calendar, HR, training, very, very, very quickly and easily, straight from within this pop-out menu here. This is called global navigation. I'm not going to get technical today. That is as technical as I'm going to get. But this is global navigation. So this menu here follows your SharePoint sites. So whatever SharePoint sites you have in your organization, so long as you implement global navigation, then you will see the same menus, the same sub-menus, everywhere that you navigate to. And that helps you and your staff navigate this much more quickly and easily. What we found in the past, and we will help you with this if this has happened to you, is that different SharePoint sites have different menus and sub-menus. It's laid out differently. The designs are different. And it really goes against user adoption. Users will look at it, they will navigate onto it, find it difficult to use, and therefore it will become stale, and your organization generally will not adopt it. If you use this global navigation here, and you have the same look, the same feel, the same navigation, the same consistency, regardless of where you are, you will find user adoption increases, and user satisfaction as well, and productivity levels remain rather than dipping because people are searching for various things. So the navigation here within Viva Connections, we've got who we are, we've got group calendar, is available here. And that makes it really quick and easy to go to exactly the right place that you need. But that said, what Microsoft say it's what it is, not where it is. So you might need a piece of information that's on the training SharePoint site or the HR SharePoint site, or it might be somewhere else, but it doesn't matter so long as it's within Microsoft 365, so long as it's in SharePoint, then you have access to it quickly and easily through the search bar at the top. So just going back to the hub site here, if I click on the Teams room setup, this will take me to the news article here. So we're talking about it, and people have commented here as well. They've liked it as well, what have you. This might be a really useful news article, and I might want to share this with my colleague, Jordan, who's with me right now. And what you can do is click on the copy link here, and then what I can do is speak with Jordan. Teams rooms setup looks really interesting. So Jordan's working from home. I've been involved in the implementation of. I've been working from home, but learnt about it through the news article, and I want to share that information with Jordan. I can quickly and easily copy anything I see on here and send it to anyone, because these news articles here, by the way, are the news articles that are meaningful to me. So if I work in the sales team or the marketing, the HR, then I can customize this to show me only the news in those areas of the business if I want, or I can have it to show me everything. It all comes down to the permissions, access rights, and those sorts of things. I'm going to show the mobile client in a second, Jordan. But before I do I have any questions, please?
Yeah, a question from Elisa just asking how to get started really with an intranet site, and what's the process? Okay,
so that's a good question. So to get started, again, this is a hub site. Now, if you're already using SharePoint, you may not have a hub site, and it just really comes down to the way that Microsoft develop SharePoint, how they want people to use it. There's a modern SharePoint now. You may be, depending on which version of SharePoint that you have, if you're using SharePoint, what you need is to make it a modern SharePoint site and to make it a home site or a hub site. iText can help you with that. So again, if you're already using SharePoint, or if you wanted to get started with SharePoint, we will look at your SharePoint infrastructure and we will make a hub site for you. And that would either be by promoting an existing SharePoint site, maybe putting that at the top level, or by building a hub site at the top level and then linking out to all the SharePoint sites below it. If you don't have SharePoint, we will come and speak with you or meet with you on Teams. We will gather all the things, learn about your business, learn about the things that you want to share and publish and make available to your staff. And then we will build a SharePoint site for you. Once that's done, we can then publish that within Teams via Viva Connections. So what that means is when you open Teams, the SharePoint site, your company intranet, will be on this bar here. We generally publish it at the top, but again, you can have it anywhere that you want. So yeah, so if you've got SharePoint, we will make that available in here. If you haven't got SharePoint, we will build a site for you. I'll build one with you if you want to be involved in that process, and then again publish that on here. Is that it, John? Is there any more questions?
Yeah, that's it for now, Dean. Cheers.
Lovely, thank you. So the idea with this, obviously, I'm using this within Teams, and I take Teams with me wherever I go. So if I'm in the office, if I'm working from home, if I visit a customer, if I'm lucky enough to be able to go out, because obviously we're all working or we have been working in isolation to some degree, to a level of some degree. But if I go see a customer or if I'm commuting, then I have access to Teams wherever I go. And obviously I'm using my laptop right now. I have Teams in front of me, and if I have Teams, then I've got access to Viva connections. I've got access to SharePoint. I've got access to all the information that's available to me within iText. It's not always practical though for me to get my laptop out. This is my Microsoft Surface. To get my Surface out, quite often what I will do is I will use my mobile phone. So if I open my mobile phone now and open Microsoft Teams, what I can do is share this with you. So can you see, Jordan, can you see my mobile on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, that's on.
Yeah, lovely. So obviously we've got Teams open here. We've got activity, we've got chat, we've got Teams. This is my Teams. This is what I use every single day. We've got introduction to Teams here, which is a Teams channel that we've built for demonstration purposes. So this is something that you will probably be familiar with if you use Teams here. Introduction to Teams. We've got the general here on the phone. General, it's the same view. Obviously this one's from a mobile, this one is from my laptop. So I've got access to Teams on my mobile. Wherever I go, I've got everything to hand. Now in September, October time, when the Viva Connections is made available and released to mobile, what will happen is this iText logo or your organization's logo will be visible here at the bottom left, and all these icons will move across a little bit, and you will have your organization's logo here. And when you open Teams on your mobile or on your iPad, something like that, you will have access to your company intranet or your company SharePoint site. I can show you what that will look like. If you don't use SharePoint right now, or if you do use SharePoint but don't use it on your mobile device, then this is the iText Hub. This is the iText Hub site here. So we've got iText Hub. This is the same on the mobile here, iText Hub. And these little stars here are the ones that I've favorited, by the way, and that's the ones that are visible here under my sites. So whatever you've got favorited here will be instantly visible here. So I'm logged on mobile. I'm a mobile as myself, by the way, as Dean. Here I'm logged in as Luke, but whatever sites I like will be visible here. So if I go into the iText Hub, so what will happen when Viva Connections becomes available in Q3 of this year, when you open Teams, this is what the screen will look like, except it will have the Teams icons across the bottom. So instantly I can see latest company news, I can see the weather, upcoming events, useful links, social media, my recent documents. I've got everything to hand on my mobile phone. And this is useful as well because these photographs on the photographs that we'll do on the Teams room, something like that. There's no photographs on that one, that's typical. But what I can do, because I'm doing this on my mobile phone, I can use my mobile camera to take a photo and write a news article on my mobile, click publish, and it's very, very quick and easy to do. And the moment I do that, then that information is visible to the rest of my team on here. So that's sharing information regardless of your geographical location. It's quick and easy to do. And the focal point for Microsoft with regards to Viva Connections is in fact going to be mobile. It's going to be a very mobile driven platform to allow that user adoption, to allow people to publish information, use the camera quickly and easily on the mobile device, to aid user adoption, to surface that information on the screen that you're looking at right now. Jordan, do we have any questions, please?
Nope, no more have come in, mate. Thank you.
Right, okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation now. Oh, sorry, one last thing I meant to show you that I haven't done is analytics. At the top here, you need to have the permission to be able to see analytics. Not all users have got the analytics button here, but as long as you've got the permission, you can click on analytics, and this shows you how the SharePoint site's being used and traffic by date and time as well, things like that. And this is useful because if you invest time into the SharePoint site, into building all these things, you can gauge user adoption by using analytics. And it's quite beneficial as well, by the way, when you're building things like this, to speak to heads of departments, heads of teams, team members, see what information they really find useful on here, to surface and publish that information here to allow them to sort of get the most from it. And again, you can measure that by using analytics. So I'm just going to cut back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, you've seen them all.
We've got another question in, just asking if Viva will work with on-premises.
Oh, that's a good question. No. So when they say on premises, I would imagine that they mean SharePoint server. So I believe that's probably what they mean. So with Microsoft 365, what you have is SharePoint Online. So when we look at this, I'm using Teams now essentially as a window through to SharePoint Online. And what SharePoint is, as the name suggests, SharePoint share. It allows you to share any information, files, folders, websites, news with your organization, SharePoint. And this is SharePoint within Microsoft 365. So this is the cloud version of SharePoint. The on-premises, you can have all this, the SharePoint side, but on traditional servers and infrastructure. If you remember at the start of the meeting, I said in 1997, and from there, we started from a very traditional kind of background. So you can have SharePoint on your file server, but for it to work in Viva Connections, what we recommend is to migrate that SharePoint site or sites from your servers up to Microsoft 365, because what that allows it to do is to work alongside all the other Microsoft 365 tools, like Microsoft Power BI. You can plug that into on-premises, but Microsoft Power BI, there's Delve, there's all sorts of things in the Microsoft product set that won't work with traditional infrastructure. So we can get it working in a fashion, but you won't get the full benefit from Viva Connections unless you move to the online version, and we can help with that. Is that the question? Is that okay, Jordan? Is there anything else?
No, nothing else is coming, mate.
If I haven't answered that, because I believe that's what you meant by on-premises, if I've not answered that correctly, please let Jordan know, and Jordan will tell me. So the idea of Viva Connections is to include everyone. So one thing that we found whilst in lockdown was sharing information in Teams is very, very good, but that information remains within that specific team, whether that's a marketing team, a sales team, HR, accounts, finance teams. Those teams are sharing information with one another, and it doesn't reach the wider audience. So for example, the Teams room setup, which team would I put that information in within iText? Would I put it within the help desk, the projects, the sales? It really was for everybody, really. So by publishing this on the SharePoint site and making that accessible from within Microsoft Teams, makes it available for everyone. And that's whether they're on the shop floor using just simple devices like this or iPads, right through into the offices, through to the managers, directors, board members. So you're including everybody within the organization, and that's the That's the basis of Microsoft Viva Connections. So again, license types. If you have Microsoft 365, then you are more likely than not to have Teams Viva Connections. The only exception is if you have an email only licenses. So going back down to the shop floor, the drivers, the frontline staff, sometimes I only have a phone, and therefore they will only be licensed for email. An email only license doesn't include the things I've shown you today. You need a business essentials license as a minimum. We can help you with your licensing. If you show us what licensing you have, as a Microsoft Tier 1 partner, we can gain access to with your permission, and by you clicking a few buttons, we can gain access to your Microsoft 365 tenancy or subscription, look at your licenses and help you restructure those if needed to allow you to get the most from 365 and in the most cost-effective manner as well. So somebody asked this question already, how to get started. But what we need to do, you need to do, or we need to do on your behalf, or sometimes with some customers with IT departments, we will work together with them, is to build a home site or a hub site. And that is the site that's visible from within Microsoft Teams, and it's the gateway to everything else in your organization. So we need to build your site. Again, it needs to be a modern SharePoint site, not a classic SharePoint site. So if you've been using SharePoint for a number of years, you may well be on a classic site. You may not know the difference. The modern sites look a little bit more fluid, a little bit more well designed. But if you need to know, if you want to, we can help you. If we look at your SharePoint site, we will be able to tell you instantly whether that's a classic site or a modern site. If it is a classic site, you can upgrade them. You don't need to do any rework, anything like that. We can upgrade that into a modern SharePoint site. Once it's a modern SharePoint site, we can then convert it to a hub site and plug it into Microsoft Teams. If you want to do it yourselves, many organizations will go away from these events that we do, and lots of them will do it themselves. Google how to set up Viva Connections, and that will show you on there how to plug your SharePoint site into Microsoft Teams. Again, though, iTechs do offer consultancy services and can help you build SharePoint sites and link them to Microsoft Teams. It's what we're good at. Modern workplace is really what we focus on. We're really, really good at that. So just to summarize what we've spoken about today, we spoke about employee culture and the challenges to your organizations. We spoke about the 4 Viva modules, the learning, the insights topics, and of course connections, which we've gone through today. We showed you the mobile app as well, the license types, and how to get started. So Jordan and I, we're happy to help. If you've got any questions, again, that are specific to your particular organization, please email myself. I'm Dean Spencer. Email Jordan. Jordan emailed you already your invite for today. Please email one of us and we will answer all your questions as best we can. But before we jump off, Jordan, do we have any final questions, please?
No, nothing else has come in, just the questions that we've gone through already.
Lovely, that's great. So again, everybody, thank you for joining us today. I hope you found today's session worthwhile. If you have, please leave us a quick Google review, even if it's just a star rating, but we really do appreciate that. So thank you again for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.